All right, we are live. Welcome back to another episode of the Quarantine All Stars, where I've promised you I'm going to help you learn from the best while you're on house arrest. I'm going to be changing the name, though, because this is going to go much longer than the quarantine. This has become me reconnecting to something I'm really passionate about. And so I'm going to be sharing these expert interviews with you guys into the foreseeable future. Now, give me 1 second, Pete and audience. Give me 1 second. I have to look down while I do some obligatory sharing of the live stream.
Okay.
I have yet to find a platform that allows you to sort of set up the sharing ahead of time in the way that I like.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so there it is to my. We're broadcasting from my page now. I've just shared it over to my profile. I'm going to share it to my group.
This is all Facebook, right? You're not doing YouTube live as well, right?
Oh, I'm on YouTube as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
I am on YouTube as well. That segues nicely. What else should I be doing on YouTube, Pete?
Well, you're kind of doing it. We'll talk about this in more detail later on, I'm sure. But the main thing is you should be creating content, and you should be doing it consistently over a reasonably long period of time. I'm going to share, I know later on, some tricks and tips and all that kind of stuff, but none of it will matter unless you can do relatively simple things consistently without giving up, at least in the early days when it feels like you're shouting into the void. That can be very difficult. I always use the gym analogy, Manny, in that going to the gym, it isn't actually that difficult, is it? All you got to do is get yourself out of bed, go down to the gym and move some heavy stuff around. None of that is difficult.
Right.
But what's difficult is doing it, most days of the week, maybe 3 times a week. For, I'm guessing, I don't know, I reckon it takes a year, doesn't it, to get in shape? Something like that. You'll see some results after less than a year.
You're gonna start to see some results in 3 to 4 months. You can notice, people will notice a difference in you in 4 to 6 months, and you'll be markedly closer to goals you might have set in a year.
Yeah. The problem is, I found, not just on YouTube, but in business generally, most people find it difficult to have a time horizon longer than 90 days. And even 90 days seems like a heck of a long time when you're 30 days in. It's freezing cold outside. You're hauling yourself down to the gym in the rain. You're not seeing any difference. It's still relatively new to you, so you don't feel very at home at the gym. You've not made any contacts there. You're just literally on your own, or at least you feel like you're on your own. And that's one thing I'd say with YouTube is often you feel like you're on your own, but you're not. There are people watching your content, but they're lurking and they're not being interactive. So you may feel that you're not touching anyone's heart. You might feel that you're not delivering any value. You might feel very lonely, and that as soon as you press that record button or live stream button, you're kind of putting your own self-esteem and your own self-worth on the line, aren't you?
It's absolutely true.
I mean, we're doing it now. Who knows? Maybe no one will ever see this. Who knows? I doubt it. But you've been doing this long enough to know that that's not the case. And with YouTube, there tends to be an avalanche effect as well, where let's say that we did one of these every day for a month when we're brand new, no one had ever heard of us, we're doing on a new channel. Probably very few people would see it, to be honest. But then a year down the line, when we've shown up consistently, our back catalogue comes back and pays the rent. So all the stuff that you're building now, it's like, again, to use the gym analogy, you're building the muscle memory, you're building the support structures that will then support the muscles and the fitness that you're building. It's the first bit is just so difficult. And the only thing I could say is do whatever you would do normally to affect your mindset. So a lot of people do meditation. A lot of people have a morning ritual, don't they? Gratitude, whatever it takes. Just Dan will keep going, at least for the first 90 days, and then you'll start to see some feedback from comments. And a lot of my clients, they're starting out brand new, so they've got a small channel, but they'll get maybe one comment from someone that makes it all worthwhile, like, you've just really helped me. Or in some instances, clients have people reach out and book coaching with them, or sessions, whatever they're doing, and they may not have ever put anything in the comments of YouTube. They may not have hit like, they may not have done anything. What they did is they picked up the phone, or they reached out to them through LinkedIn, or however it is, and became a multi, well, in some cases, tens of thousands of dollars worth of business comes in that way.
Right. So let's stop for a second and just kind of do what we should have done. Pardon me. which is to tell everybody.
You've not got the coronavirus, have you?
No, I don't believe I have. Let's tell everybody who you are a little bit. Let's intro you, guys, girls. Pete is, I would say, I don't think he would say this, but I'll say it. A genuine certified kind of a YouTube whiz kid. He has figured out how to make money on YouTube. You make money on YouTube. So that sets you apart from a lot of how to make money coaches. And some of the things that you and I have talked about before, like some of your channels are, I don't remember what you said, but I'm paraphrasing you, just dead boring. Right?
Yeah, one of my teaching channels, actually, I set it up. If you want to have a look for it, it's called Go Slow TV. So just search YouTube for Go Slow TV. And I set it up deliberately to put out the most boring content on the internet. And the reason I did that is to demonstrate that if you know what you're doing on YouTube and you do it consistently, then any content can get views and can make money and get traffic. I kind of have a little bit of a joke really with clients, and I say that if you go and have a look at that channel, you find most of it is trips on the London Underground, trips on the London bus, wandering around the park. I mean, basically nothing of any interest. But I usually say to clients, look, if my commute to work is getting more views and more interest than what you're selling in your business on YouTube, then clearly there's room for improvement, because I'm doing my best to do this as badly as possible. Yet by optimizing them and following the strategy, at one stage last year, I think the channel was getting like 60,000 views a day of people watching nothing. But to speak to that point again for a moment, it's kind of semi-serious point. One of my videos was loads of ducks swimming on a pond, and I thought this has got to be the dullest thing ever. Who really likes watching ducks on the pond, because she says we haven't got any water where I live, so that's actually providing something that I want to watch. So you'd be surprised, even if you think your content's boring and are trying to make it boring, there's probably going to be someone out there that likes it. It's a big world out there, isn't it?
So let's talk a little bit then about, well, first of all, can you put in some earphones by any chance? I can hear myself in a little bit of an echo.
I don't think, if I do that, we're risking a science project. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn the volume down. See if that's any better.
Test. Yep, perfect.
Okay, so
I guess what I'd like to, selfishly, what I'd like to get from you is just a checklist of the sort of fundamentals. Someone like me, I've been sharing my content on YouTube and storing it on YouTube. By the way, guys, if you make content and you're using Wistia or Vimeo or any of those video storage places, you're sacrificing indexing and ranking. Is that right, Pete?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, stick it out there on YouTube.
So put it on YouTube and make it private if you absolutely have to, but put it on YouTube, because, and people don't realize this, I guess, YouTube is the second largest search engine.
Owned by the first largest.
Largest search engine. So let that be a lesson to you, right? I know that for a long while now, even though I'm not the only Manny Wolf in the world, which was a huge blow to me, of course, I dominate the first page of Google.
Right.
And I didn't know how I did that. Well, a lot of it is because I now have about somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 videos on YouTube.
Prolific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So understand, you guys, that every time you store a video on YouTube, you're helping yourself in the long run.
Yeah, you're building a canon of work, aren't you? Which will work for you.
Yeah. So let's say that's step one, right? Like, how's your content on YouTube? Step one. What's step two then, Pete?
Well, I would go back. Let's go back one step further, because
okay, great.
Something that, it's not just YouTube, but this applies to everything in business, really. But YouTube's a good case in point. Is most people are taught at school, or business school, whatever, about supply and demand. It's always supply and demand. I don't know why they teach it that way around, because to be successful, you need to flip that, and you need to look at demand and supply. So find out. I mean, this is what I used to say when I was teaching from stage. Literally, find out what they want, sell it to them, rinse, repeat, buy a big house. Now, on YouTube, selling it to them is providing content that they want to watch, because they're not paying you directly. The consideration passed, as an accountant would call it, is in watch time, basically. They're effectively giving you a part of their life, which you could argue is more important than the money, particularly when you get north of 50, you realize it's a scarce resource, right? So find out what they want and then sell it to them, or to make it YouTube. Find out what they want to watch and then make what they want to watch. And this comes back to my kind of origin story, if you like. My first dealings with YouTube was with a friend who at the time was an employee, who had a little girl, baby, and noticed that at the time there wasn't very much on YouTube for kids. There was very few nursery rhymes. So there was almost no supply out there, but a lot of demand, because he was searching for YouTube to play nursery rhymes to his daughter. And other parents clearly were doing the same thing, because there are ways using various tools that you can find out what the demand is. You can find out how many times people are searching for, I don't know, 10 little buses, or the biggest one in the world is Wheels on the Bus. So you can find that people are searching for stuff, and there isn't too much content out there that people can watch. So you found a gap between the demand and the supply, and then all you've got to do is produce the supply. So
how do we find that? How do we research to find what people want but don't have, or
Okay. Yeah, there are tools out there which will help you do that, and I can show you one if you like, the one that I generally use.
Yeah.
But if you want to do it sort of just in a very casual way, then pick a niche that you're interested in doing. Go to YouTube and search and see if lots and lots of videos come up, or just a few videos come up. If lots and lots of videos comes up, then that means there is quite a lot of supply out there. If only a few videos come up, then there isn't too much supply. And you can do the same to get a sense of it. Go onto Google and see how many search results come back. So, if you're getting 20, 30, 100 million pages coming back, then obviously there's a lot of material out there on the internet that covers what you're talking about. If you were to only get, a few 100,000, then there's not so much material. So that's the supply side, if you like. The demand side, then I would suggest, if you want to go about it scientifically, use one of the tools such as I'm going to show you, or use Google's keyword research tool. That'll give you an idea of the search volume. So that's the demand side of it. And what you're looking for is high demand, not too much supply.
Right.
So find out what they want, the demand, and then give it to them, supply it, make the videos. And that's what happened with my friend, ex-employee. He ended up setting up a nursery rhyme channel, and I sort of helped him with the SEO and the strategies behind that. And that became the biggest channel on YouTube. I mean, not just the biggest kids channel, the biggest channel on YouTube. They were doing approximately 1% of the entire YouTube traffic, and that was sold in 2018 for, well, more money than you can reasonably spend in several lifetimes if you're trying hard. So when I go to their house, it's amazing. But all they did, really, I'm not taking anything away from them because their content was brilliant, is they looked for what was in demand and then supplied it. And then on top of that, optimize the content. Now, the good news for anybody out there that's listening to this, whichever niche you're in, is even if there is a lot of content out there and it's quite competitive, I'm willing to bet that most, if not all of your competitors are not doing the optimization bit properly. And therefore, if you were to produce content as good or better than theirs and optimize it, the chances are that your videos are going to be more successful because you'll know what you're doing. Where they may be subject matter experts, but have missed some of the very basics that you would do to optimize the video. And I can take you through a few of those steps now, if you like.
Brilliant. And first, I just want to say that this is, I think, akin to, I was in a mastermind, a live mastermind at the beginning of the year, prior to Corona, when it was safe to see your friends in person. One of the guys who was running the mastermind, we were all sitting down, and he said to us, I think he said, how many of you guys have between $750,000 and say $3 million right now in cash liquidity? Only a couple of us could raise our hands at that point. He said, and how much time do you spend mastering the marketing of your product, service, or whatever it is you're doing? Raise your hand if it's 50 to 80% of your efforts. And very few of us raised our hands. He said, that's your problem right there. Until you have enough money built up in reserve that you can experiment, you can spend $20,000 testing a funnel, right? You need to be 80% marketing, 20% focusing on your zone of genius. This is sort of akin to what you're saying here, right? It's we labor under this delusion, and in many cases we're not aware of it, that somehow because we're so good at what we do, the world will discover us. Would you agree with that? Yeah,
completely. And there's a lot of people doing things badly but marketing it well, which are making a lot of money. And I find that it annoys me, to be honest.
It annoys me too, but so there's good news hidden in this, which is for YouTube here, but in the bigger picture for every platform, if you learn to market and your stuff is good, you're positioning yourself ahead of most people.
Yeah, and you're consistent and put out regular content. Because that's where if anybody who's listening to this is going to fail, that's normally what stops it. Big difference between knowing it and doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that, because I don't know if you're the same, but in my feed, there are any number of coaches and marketing pros who try to take this contrary approach with these promises that one of the top webinar guys comes to mind for this. I won't name him, but his message is tired of making content all the time. Just do this one $12,000 program, which only people who have gone through it know is extraordinarily hard with a low success rate.
Yeah, so it's the simple stuff, isn't it? People fail.
Yeah, and I mean, before we get into the foundational steps here, I just want to share with people that focusing on my content game, even without clear monetization guidelines, just putting the content out there in a way that is educational, informative, and demonstrates my personality in front of my expertise. Which is really important too. Yeah. Just doing that and really ramping up the amount of content that I created from 2018 to 2019, my income increased by a factor of about 4.8.
Well, I said when I first joined this that, I see you all over the place now. You've really stepped it up, haven't you?
Right. Yeah. And so Pete, I know this isn't revolutionary to you, but I always want to hammer this home to anybody watching, because if social media is where we're growing our brand, of course, content matters. Anybody who tries to tell you otherwise as the saying goes, is trying to sell you something.
Yeah, well, they're trying to basically get people to exchange money for not having to do any work, aren't they? And that doesn't work.
Ding, ding, ding. There you go.
Yeah, internet books you'll never read. How to work quite hard for a moderate income for a long time before you make it rich. You don't see many of those for sale, do you? Run to the back of the room. But I mean, the point on the monetization model, I wouldn't get too hung up on this, because if you can build a following, you can build a fortune.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You probably don't know where that fortune is going to come from. But the great thing is, once you start getting some success and people start throwing money at you, they'll be approaching you. The balance of power will be tipped, and you'll be the scarce resource which is in demand.
Yeah.
So I don't want to trivialize it, but there isn't a magic bullet, and there's nothing that you can buy from someone that's going to excuse you from having to do this.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so true. So you guys listening, you be the small percentage who gets it. That's my fervent wish for sort of my people, the people who listen to me and watch me, is that you understand. My friend Dennis Yu talks about getting rich slowly. And I know he's not the first person to say that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just love that, because Dennis is very successful, and you can see him all over social media, flying everywhere, speaking everywhere, training on marketing. And he's constantly going, get rich slowly.
And enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, man, take it away. What's step one now that we understand consistent content?
Well, my screen's gone blank. Oh, so just 1 minute. Don't know what happened there. Right. So step one is find something which is in demand, and we've got that. So once you found something that people want to watch, the next thing is to produce great content. A couple of things about great content on YouTube. And you say, I can see you're writing stuff down. It might be a good idea if people want to sort of make a few notes as well. Yeah. Are we live for chat questions as well? I don't know.
We are. There's a funny limitation of StreamYard, and it is this: if we leave the chat open and show the questions on the screen, we will be limited in our reach, because the questions pop up with a Facebook logo.
Okay, never mind.
However, we can read the questions and speak to them, but we can't show them on the screen.
Okay, well, if you can see questions anyone asks, then great. But I'll assume I can't see any questions. Okay. So
yeah,
if you want to make some notes, so the first thing to do is to produce the content for YouTube, and there's something that's really important about YouTube content. That's getting your point across quickly and early in the video. Here's what most people do, man. They think, right, I've got to have a logo. I've got to have an intro. What do they call it? A sting. Those bits that you play at the beginning of every video. So they go to Fiverr or similar, and they pay a few bucks, and they get maybe a 10-second intro, with fire and spinning logos and dramatic music.
Yeah, we've seen them.
That normally when people do that, that's the first thing that kills their channel, because one of the big metrics that YouTube looks for is abandon rate or engagement levels. And almost all my clients, when I go in, the first thing I'll do is I'll look at how quickly people are dropping off the content. And very often, it's quite heartbreaking. Very often, 85–90% of the viewers have bailed from the video before the logo stopped spinning.
Exactly. Let me ask you a very specific question on that, because you had said that to me before, and it changed my whole approach of having this like 2-second animated thumbnail. Which in hindsight was gratuitous, right? That was to make me happy.
Yeah.
So
everybody likes their own logo, don't they? Or
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So what I wanted to switch to, and I don't think my team ever we even finished this, but I wanted to switch to a transparency that just comes across the bottom of the screen while I'm getting to the point. It's silent. It doesn't dominate the whole screen. What are your feelings about that?
I think that's a lot better.
Is it needed?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
No, what's needed is for you to make a point quickly that grabs people's attention. And
Okay.
the example I normally use is, don't start a story halfway through, and then use an NLP interrupt, pattern interrupt to start it.
Yeah.
So the example I usually use, and it's not a great one, is if I was doing a cooking channel about how to make I don't know, dishes out of baby artichokes or something like that, I could start with, hello, I'm Pete from London, and today we're going to be doing this, that, and the other, and whatever, please subscribe. Or I could just start the video with something like, so I put the baby in the microwave, and then straight away people will think, well, what on earth is he doing sticking a baby in the microwave?
Right.
They'll stop and they'll listen, because they want to know what's this crazy guy doing. And then you would then go into the story and say, so I'm going to be cooking baby artichokes today, and we're going to be doing them in the microwave because it saves power and it's quicker than doing it on the stove or whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is, don't start with a long introduction. Start with something that hits them really hard. And often a good way of coming up with that formula is to start a story in the middle or at the punchline, rather than do the traditional sort of introduction, middle bit, and conclusion, because you want to grab them so that you've got them in there. So that would be the first thing.
I used to do an exercise with public speakers where I would say, I want you to write for me not 3 jokes, but 3 punchlines. You'd be amazed at how much people struggle with that.
Yeah. And put the punchline at the beginning.
Yeah, and then put the punchline at the beginning.
Yeah.
My favorite punchline that has no joke to it is, so the midget pops out from under the nun's habit, lights the cigar, looks up at me and says, "What is it, Tuesday already?"
that would be the perfect way to start a video.
Right, exactly. So I love that. And I guess for everybody, like, you're going to have to, I know what people's biggest problem is going to be with this. Their biggest resistance is going to be self-consciousness, right? It's really like, there's no room in the world of content and social media for being self-conscious. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. And I don't know if there's a way around it apart from just pressing record and doing it anyway.
Same thing. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Here's excuses I hear. Well, I can't do it until I get the latest iPhone. Well, most of my videos are done on an iPhone 5, not even an iPhone 5 Plus. I can't do it until I get a decent microphone. There's always going to be a reason. You can't do it because you're checking. That's the reason.
What it comes down to.
And that's understandable, but hit the record button and do it. It gets less scary over time.
Yeah. Give yourself absolute permission to just completely cake the bed on the first few.
a good way of giving yourself permission, if you're doing talking head stuff where it's you to camera, a good way of giving yourself permission to drop your production values is to do it on a phone or smart tablet or whatever while you're walking. So many of the things I used to do, just walking around the park, because people don't expect high standards of production when you're out walking. If you've got the money to have a proper studio, then great. But often I've had much better engagement with, not just for me, but for clients as well, when it is rough and ready, because it's raw. People don't want all that stuff.
There's definitely something to be said for that. So we're going to move back into tactics, but Amanda says you're both simultaneously rearranging everything I was going to do this afternoon.
Oh, dear. Sorry about that.
That's good. That's perfect, Amanda, because Amanda is she's been in my world for a while, and she knows that my goal is to bring you stuff that is pattern interrupt level valuable. Like, getting Pete to do this is that. So number 2 then was produce great content, and YouTube likes pattern interrupts. They like you to get to the point.
It's basically, people can't live with open loops. So you interrupt the pattern and they have to stay until that loop's closed. And what YouTube doesn't want you to do is abandon the video or abandon YouTube, because YouTube's whole business model is about keeping you on YouTube.
Right.
And a kind of supplementary to that, which is the second sort of bit about making good YouTube videos, and this is YouTube specific, is make the video more than 10 minutes long if you possibly can.
Yeah.
Even if it's just 11 minutes or 10 and a half minutes. The reason for that, is once a video is over 10 minutes long, then you get the chance to monetize more, because you can put adverts in the middle of the video, or during the content, as opposed to just at the beginning and at the end. So it's a little hack, if you like. And you'll find a lot of YouTube videos are like that. I mean, there's one guy that I watch, and he'll do about a minute of content, and then he'll film himself cooking his dinner just to pad it out. And his commentary while he's cooking is actually quite funny, but the reason he's doing it is to make 2 minutes into 10 minutes, and he's honest about it and transparent. But that's a little tip there.
Well, and like, if you were to use the platform I'm using now, StreamYard, I automatically, this goes to YouTube simultaneous to it going to Facebook.
Yeah, brilliant.
So there's really no excuse. Really no excuse.
We've done half an hour so far. We haven't started, so that's good.
Yeah, that's right. And now to cook dinner.
So what we're going to do now, then, let's assume you've got your content up there. We're going to optimize that content, and this is non-technical. It's great in a way. Do you remember the good old days of SEO for Google, where all you got to do is put some keywords in the keywords tab on your website, and you could hope to be number one in Google?
Yeah, well, I do remember that.
Yeah, I mean, those days are long gone. But the YouTube algorithm, despite being really smart at some things, is still in the sandpit a little bit in terms of sophistication around optimization. So the most important piece of real estate for optimizing your video is the title. In terms of the words, we're going to come on to a graphical element in a moment, but as simple as put in your title, at the beginning of your title, what you think or what you know, because you've done the research quantitatively. If you're sort of doing it more scientifically, put what people are searching for.
Yeah,
it's that simple. So if you're, I don't suggest doing this, by the way. Coronavirus is very topical, but YouTube's got a bit of a habit of banning videos about coronavirus. But let's just say that you wanted to target coronavirus outbreak, then start your video title with coronavirus outbreak in New York City, for instance, rather than starting it with your channel name or starting it with something which is not directly to the point.
Right.
The title, it really serves 2 points. One is to give yourself permission to put keywords in there, and the other is to sell them on the click. So in email marketing, they always used to say that the most important bit of an email is the subject line, because unless people like the subject line, then they're not going to open the mail. The rest of it, wouldn't matter what you wrote, because it would never get seen. So the title, in a way, if you're from the email marketing background or direct marketing, think of that as the subject line, but make sure you've got the keywords in there up front. Tags are not as important as people say they are. The most important thing is the title. In terms of the words, the most important graphical element is the thumbnail. YouTube allows you to upload custom thumbnails, and you certainly should. And I could do a whole presentation on thumbnail design, but the most important thing is to make sure that the thumbnail design is going to sell them on clicking on the video, because in order to get well ranked and suggested by YouTube, your video is suggested by other by YouTube, then you want to look at what's known as the click-through rate, CTR, click-through rate. You can get all of this information from your analytics, so you're better to see how you're doing. But the thumbnail and the title will have a really big effect on the click-through rate. And to put some numbers on that, you want to be looking at north of about 10%. If you can get north of 10%, you're doing well. If you can get north of 15%, you're doing really well. I have seen, although not often, like north of 20%, and that's outstanding. I don't have any with 20%, I'll be honest, but I've seen people with 20%, some of my clients. And it's so important that I would suggest doing what's called A/B testing on thumbnails. So come up with 2 designs, and I'll give you some tips in a moment as to what makes a good thumbnail, and then use a tool such as TubeBuddy. It's the one I use. I'm not affiliated with them in any way, and there are probably other tools out there as well, but TubeBuddy, I think it's about $50 a month or $40 a month, will allow you to do A/B testing, which what that means is design 1 gets shown for a day to the viewers, and then that's taken down. Design 2 is shown for 24 hours, and then that's taken down. And the cool thing about TubeBuddy compared to many of the other tools that I've seen, is it has an option to run the test to what's known as statistical significance. Now, what that means is that it runs the test long enough to get a conclusive answer, or an answer which is conclusive to a confidence level of 95%, if you want to be pedantic. But what many people do with A/B testing is they test for maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 days, 5 days, and then they try and draw a conclusion as to which is the best thumbnail based upon not enough data to be able to tell.
Got it.
And TubeBuddy actually has that feature built in. It means you don't have to get spreadsheets, and you don't have to, work out all the maths behind it, which, well, it's a job for computers, not people, isn't it, in my opinion?
Right.
So I suggest TubeBuddy. Then A/B test them. So some things that are good for thumbnails. People love faces. So if you can get your face in there doing something with an expression, not just, you don't want the graduation photograph where it's perfect. Would be good, or look sad, or whatever, face palm, something where there's emotion, and again, people want to see what happens next. Some of the best ones are things that look like you're in pain, or you're in jeopardy, or you've just tipped your coffee over.
Right.
In other words, people kind of want to release you from that uncomfortable position by clicking on the video. So what I would normally do is after I've shot my video, I'd go through the footage and I'd find a frame where I'm kind of looking a bit awkward, or looking a bit goofy, or something. Not one where I look the best, but one where I look like something's happening.
Isn't that easy? Because doesn't all videos start with the most obnoxious expression if you take it frame by frame?
Yeah.
Somehow it's always
something like that would be perfect.
Not hard there.
But without wishing to be sexist, who cares? I'm going to burn in hell anyway. But I know women have a real bigger problem than this with men, because all the makeup's got to be perfect. The hair's got to be no.
Steady on, by the way. I was crucified in the court of public opinion yesterday for a very innocuous question, and apparently it triggered a whole bunch of that sort of virtue signaling.
Oh no.
Fourth wave feminism.
Well, I'll tell you what works, not what's politically correct, if that's all right.
Yeah, exactly. If that's okay.
So you're more likely to get a good click-through rate on a bad hairdo day than when you're perfectly made up.
Yeah.
So faces and movement are really good. And a great thing about YouTube is once you upload your video, YouTube's AI it's spooky. Will go through your video and actually suggest some of the shots from your video in the thumbnail part that you might want to then go and find in your video, download that picture, and then use that as a basis for the thumbnail. Some good things to do with thumbnails. There's no prizes for subtlety, so use Photoshop, or I think Canva may be able to do this, and amp up the contrast, amp up the vibrance, make it hit them between the eyes. You want to have some consistent branding on the thumbnails, so that when people see your video down the right hand side, then it's easy to recognize it. And a tip there, I would put your branding, and this permission to use that logo that you got from Fiverr, put the branding top right, because it's then out of the way of all of the rest of the stuff that YouTube puts around the video, like the playing controls and everything else.
Let's do this. Can I share my screen and we'll look at some random ones from my channel?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Hang on.
I'm just getting a bad hairdo day.
Yeah, get a bad hairdo going. Okay, so we're sharing.
That's the worst thing about coronavirus. Never going to get a haircut again, are we?
StreamYard wants to share the contents. Choose what you'd like to share. I'd like to share my entire. Yeah. It's not
brave man to share your screen publicly. I always make sure I got all the.
Okay, screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors. Don't show these tips again. Share screen. Application window. Let's try that. It won't let me share, oddly.
Right at the very bottom, I think it'll let you share the whole screen, like screen 1 or screen 2. At least it did with me.
It is only giving me the option to cancel it.
Try sharing. Try share anything you share. Does it give you an option to share a particular browser or something like that?
Yeah, it says I can share my entire screen, an application window, or a Chrome tab.
Do the entire screen then. Yeah, cool.
But that's the one it's not letting me share.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait. I clicked on it and it went for it. And now it's
there
going,
we go.
Now it's going insane, as you can see. Okay, so let's go to YouTube here. Let's go to Manny's channel as soon as it loads up. My channel. What the heck is home? I still don't know my way around YouTube very well.
You're trying to go to the Creator Studio.
Okay. How about my channel?
There you go. Yeah, you can go to your channel. If you wanted to go in the back door, you'd go to the studio. But that's okay. That's good.
Okay. So here's my little artwork. I got past the 100 members, subscribers, so I was able to put artwork on there. And now here are some of my thumbnails.
Do you want to go, Manny, before you go into it, go to the artwork, because you've done some good stuff there, which I think is worth pointing out. Right.
Okay.
So face, I said face. Great. Got the face on there. And then personal brand builder, storyteller, coach to coaches. Right away, we know exactly what you do.
Right.
Which is good. You'd be surprised how many times you go to someone's YouTube channel, you don't know what they do. Possibly the only thing I'd put on there is, like, I know, new videos every day, or new videos 10 a.m. Eastern, or whatever.
Oh, that's a great idea. Okay.
Just so that people know, the channel's active and what your schedule is. But
oh, I love that. Okay.
That in itself is better than most things that I see. So well done.
Okay, fantastic. So now we come to just a random sampling. I made this heading for this interview series that you're on now, the Quarantine All-Stars Masterclass. And then it's got me and the whoever, right? And then this one, I think probably that expression is the kind of thing that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, I mean, straight away, I like that one better than the other two, because there's too many
terrible
words
expression.
Yeah, but it's good that it's an interesting expression, and that there's plenty of face in there.
Yeah,
interesting is a good word, isn't it? But if you squint your eyes, most people, I'm guessing, are probably going to watch this on a mobile device. Again, you could tell from analytics. But if you make the browser really small by zooming out using whatever keys it is on a Mac, I don't know if I use a PC, but you can make it go out, can't you? Does it look good?
I don't know how, but yeah.
Yeah. But those are good. But the ones where there's more face, I mean, that one there, 5 essential. Was it the 5 essential ideas?
Yeah.
You got a hat on there, which is cool, and yeah, you look like you're in the middle of delivering something that I want to hear about.
Cool.
So, and it's good that you're using green, by the way, as your branding. One thing I would try and stay away from is red, because YouTube's channel colors or YouTube's branding is red, and lots of red tends to get lost. So that's good.
Good safety tip.
Yeah. So
and so this would be like, this would be a bad one, right? This would be an example of a bad thumbnail.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And wherever you can, try and put the face on the left and a small amount of text on the right.
Okay, perfect.
Read from left to right.
Yeah.
And they want to, people's whole brain is designed to recognize faces. I mean, we even recognize faces where there aren't any, don't we? In clouds and God knows what. People hardwired.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
okay, cool. Let's come out of there.
With that, you've tried lots of different thumbnail designs, or types of thumbnails. What you like or what I like doesn't really matter. What will matter is which give you the best results, and you can find that out, scientifically, using something like TubeBuddy. You might find that a design that you absolutely hate performs best, in which case, suck it up, just use it.
Yeah, absolutely. I teach people this a lot when it comes to their 1-minute videos that I'm always teaching people to do. They're like, well, I really felt inspired on this one, and I didn't like this one so much. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. You put it out there, and you let the audience tell you.
Yeah,
So,
completely.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, so now, is there more on that?
So we've done thumbnails and titles.
Yeah.
And those, if you just do those well, you'll be doing much better than most people. And the great thing about those two is that, let's say you've got, I don't know, 150 videos up there already which don't have good titles and don't have a good thumbnail. You can just go and add them later. And I've seen old channels come back to life just by changing the titles and the thumbnails. I don't know if I've got any to hand, but the thumbnail can make like 200, 300, 400% difference just by changing the thumbnail.
It's that important.
Yeah, so go back and do that. So next bit is the description. Description, you get, I think it's 5,000 characters. You get a lot of space in the description to put content, and I would be writing some content in there which is keyword rich but not keyword stuffed. So don't waste that opportunity to inform the search engines about what your video is. A little tip, particularly earlier on, when you're on the beginning of your journey, don't fill your description with lots of links to external websites, even if it is your own website, because YouTube algorithm will penalize you if someone clicks on a link in your channel and it takes them away from YouTube. Because if you think about YouTube's business model, it wants people to remain on YouTube. So if you're taking them off YouTube, it's going to say, oh, I'm not going to show their video because every time I do that, it costs me viewers.
Right.
You can always come back later on once you've established and add a link in there. And the way a lot of people are getting around this is, rather than putting links in the videos, they're saying in the content something like, if you want my free, I don't know, my free list of videos for quarantine content, then search for Manny Wolf. That's MANN and then spell it, and just make sure that people can see that your site comes up when people search for what you ask them to search for.
Got it.
And then people will just go to Google and search for it, and you won't get penalized for taking people off of YouTube.
Okay.
So plenty of keywords in the description. Go and have a look at your competitors. I bet you most people are not doing that, not putting much stuff in the description. And a little tip, quite recently, YouTube introduced the concept of hashtags, which I know have been around on other social medias for a long time, haven't they? But you can put up to 15 hashtags anywhere in the description, and it will be picked up by the algorithm. But what I would suggest you do is you put 3 hashtags towards the bottom of the description content, and those 3 hashtags would be your primary keyword, your secondary keyword, and then your channel name.
Okay.
And then what that will do is give you another chance with the algorithm of getting your keywords up there. And if anybody clicks on any of those hashtags in the just above the title, then they'll get to see all of your videos that share that hashtag, which is the reason for putting your channel name in there as a hashtag. Because if someone clicks on that, all of the videos that you've ever done that include that hashtag will come up, and that's a great way of getting people to watch more of your videos.
Awesome.
So that's descriptions. Again, just go and have a look at competitors. Even the simple stuff that I've told you now, most people are not doing. Even the big boys, big girls. Can't talk about big girls, can we? That's not good. At least you and I are going to be in hell together, Manny. We can have.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Even though we meant well.
Yeah.
So, I was told, or I heard, I can't remember where this information came to me, but I think I was told by someone that there's this little box that is meant to be checked, but that you can actually fit your whole transcription inside of that little box. It's not the description box, it's something else. Does this ring a bell to you?
I've not seen the. No, it's the honest answer. I mean,
okay.
But talking about transcriptions, that leads me on to something which I'm going to talk about. We'll do it now anyway, and that's captioning. And we've spoken about this before, haven't we? But when you upload a video, YouTube, if it can, will try and automatically do voice recognition and produce captions. It always gets it wrong. It has a good go at it, but it gets it wrong. What I would be suggesting is use something like rev.com, which is rev.com.
Yeah.
I think they put their prices up recently. It used to be $1 a minute. to produce the captions for your video. I think it's gone up to 125 a minute now, but it's still great value. But get the captions done. They'll send it back as what's known as an SRT file, which means you can then upload those directly to YouTube, and your video will have captions. Now, that's useful for people who want to read the captions, but what it also does is, again, gives you an opportunity to feed keywords into the algorithm.
Right.
So, and the algorithm will give a lot more weight to videos which have been manually captioned and uploaded like that, rather than relying on its automatic one.
Oh, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, and also, of course, that now that you've got the file, you can burn the captions into your video before you upload it. Have you started doing this, where you actually burn it in so that people can see the captions in the video, even if they don't turn the captioning option on?
No, but I love it.
Yeah, it's well worth doing that, because lots of people watch the videos without the sound on, and many people, particularly older people who are less technically adept, don't realize that you can have the option to play with the captions on. So just burn the captions in anyway.
Yeah. So burn in means just add, right?
Yeah, most video editors, you can drop the captions in and then render it out so that the captions appear in the finished video. So, you know, as people are talking, it comes up under the video.
Right. Okay, got it. I'm
That,
totally taking notes.
I can't think of a way of showing an example easily, but it just means that, you know, burn the captions in so that they don't have the option of turning them off because they're part of the video.
Exactly. Got it. Okay.
But we've skipped over something which I want to come back to in terms of the optimization, really, and that's tags. Tags are at the bit at the bottom of the video, where you've got, I think from memory, I think it's 500 characters. I can't remember. I think it's 500 characters. Yeah, it is. Okay. Where you can type in things which describe the video to YouTube or to the audience. And most people think that in terms of SEO, tags is the most important thing. It isn't, actually. It's the least important thing. But what tags do is allow YouTube to categorize your videos in order to make it easier to suggest videos to other people. And this is going to, I don't want this to get too deep, but when you first start doing YouTube, it's very unlikely that YouTube is going to suggest your videos to other people. Most of your views will either come from people linking into YouTube from social media where you've posted a link to it, or if you've done it correctly in the ways that we've been talking about, you'll get a large percentage from search traffic, so people actually searching for what your video is about. But you won't get a lot from recommended videos, because it takes a while for YouTube to work out what your videos are about, and therefore what people, or who is, which other people to suggest your videos to. And tags can really help. Although there is only one area to put tags in, you should mentally think that there are two areas. One of them is, I like to refer to them as common tags. So you want think of a set. You want to have a set of common tags that are on all of your videos. So, you know, if we were, I'll use a client that I used recently. I won't use his exact example, but he was a dentist, right? So all of his videos have a set of tags which might be dentist, London, XYZ. So maybe half a dozen tags which go on every single one of his videos. And of course, one of those is his brand name. So you want to make sure that all of your videos have got those on. Those are common tags. But then also each video has tags which are different and specific to that video. So, you know, to use a dentist example, he'd have all of his common tags, but then if he's doing a video about wisdom teeth, there'd be an awful lot of tags about wisdom teeth in that video, tags. He might then do one about, I don't know, dentures, same common tags, but then specifics about dentures. And the reason for having the distinction there is that YouTube will start to pick up on the types of videos that people watch and try and provide your videos as suggestions where the videos that they're watching are part of your common tags.
Got
It'll
it.
find an affiliation between your type of content and the type of content that other people are watching. And having those specific tags in there means that there's an even higher level of granularity. So if someone's watching videos about fillings or dentures, then YouTube's algorithm will be able to work out what your niche is and what your specific video is about, and then suggest it to the viewers.
Right.
And what you'll see over time, if you do this properly, is that initially when you start, most of your traffic's coming from search and from links in, but you really know you've cracked it when the majority of your traffic starts to come from suggested videos.
Got it.
But that's after possibly a year or so of producing content.
Okay.
And that's quite a fundamental point, that you know you're going to hit the big time once that flips to mainly suggested videos.
At the foundational level, is there anything else? This has been, I mean, just an incredible education.
Yeah, one more thing.
Okay.
My screen's gone off again. I hope I'm still there. Yeah, one more thing. Playlists.
Playlists.
Yeah, playlists are ways of categorizing your videos so that people can easily find groups of them and play them. There are two types of playlists. One is known as a series playlist, and a series playlist, you can think of it a little bit like a series on Netflix, where there are lots of videos, and generally you'd want to play them in a sequence. I think some things on Netflix you don't have to play in a sequence, but generally you'd watch a box set, wouldn't you, one after another?
You binge it. Yeah.
Yeah. So my suggestion is that you produce playlists, series playlists, around content that people can watch sequentially.
Okay.
And as a general rule of thumb, every video should be a member of a series playlist. So when I produce videos, I mean, again, to use my silly Go Slow TV channel, I have series playlists for tube journeys. So all of my tube journeys go into that series playlist. Bus journeys go into that playlist. So major topics, make them into series playlists. The video can only ever be a member of one series playlist. YouTube won't allow it to be a member of more than one.
Okay.
And then the other type of playlists are called regular playlists. And regular playlists allow you to add a video can be a member of any number of regular playlists. And so what you should do is go through your videos and produce regular playlists for anything which seems to have a good correlation between them. And the reason for doing all of this is that YouTube uses this concept of assets. When you produce a video, you're producing an asset that YouTube will optimize. Sorry, it will index. A playlist is an asset. So producing videos and producing playlists, YouTube sees it as you adding value to the YouTube channel and gives you more opportunity.
Got it.
So to use the Go Slow TV analogy again, if I've got series playlists for tube journeys, bus journeys, etc., I might produce regular playlists for I don't know, rainy London, where I'll put all of the trips on any form of public transport when it's raining into the one called Rainy London.
Yeah.
So series playlists are ordered. Regular playlists can go across subjects, and if you do all of that, you seriously, you're in the top 1% of what people on YouTube will do. And
from there, it just takes time.
Yeah, keep doing it. Just takes time. It's not that hard, is it? I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but there's nothing here that you need to spend millions of dollars on.
Exactly. I think that it's hard for people in the sense that most people, frankly, lack the ability to follow through and stay consistent.
Yeah.
It's so funny that $1 in hand is more attractive to people than $1 million at a later date. But that's human nature, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so for those of us that can discipline ourselves, I mean, every millionaire on the planet has sacrificed the $1 in hand for the $1 million later, right? Okay, yeah.
If you're producing content about things that you like, then arguably it's a pleasure as well, isn't it? It's less of a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just suggest people have a go and don't be put off by the fact that you won't get a lot of feedback in the first 90 days. I mean, just shout into the void, because there will be people listening. And
for that matter, you know, if you combine a YouTube strategy with a Facebook strategy, I can show you how to make money in the first 90 days. So you know, like and there are many other people who can as well. Pete, I want to thank you. I knew it would be informative. It's great to catch up with you. This feels like it was even more lucid and clear and drilled down than the first time you were kind enough to interview into my group. I thank you for that. And the few people who actually act on this will be thanking you too.
Well, that's all I say. Yeah, please act on it, because otherwise it's all been a bit of a waste of time, hasn't it? But it's been brilliant. Manny, thanks so much for the invite. Anytime you want to talk about stuff, then just hit me up. All right, brother.
Absolutely.
Bye for now.